It could have been so much more for City, given the number of chances they created. Let's just confirm that they finish top of the group, and as I mentioned, in theory, they're on the easier side of the bracket. Juventus finish second. For more on this, we welcome in Nedum and Onuoha, but we'll kick things off with Alexis and Rob, who are at the game. Alexis, an impressive performance from the Premier League side.
Yeah, Dan, I don't think Pep Guardiola could have asked for much more. 3 from 3. You spoke to Pep Guardiola yesterday, asked him about the pressure of putting out a good performance in this game against such a big club, especially after the season that they had. And, Rob, they were dominant.
They were. I mean, I think that's quite a big statement, really, because this was the hardest game in the group. They had to win to finish top of Group G and get into the easier side of the draw, and they breezed through it. You know, there was parts of that game that looked like the old City. You know, the movement was there, the speed of pass was there, the kind of the link-up play between the forwards, the goals. You know, Juventus will feel that they haven't really given the best version of themselves, and you have to take that into account. But in terms of the context of this tournament, I think that's a massive statement.
Well, you guys were talking about it yesterday on the show about Rodri and how much we would see of him, whether he would get the start that he's been pushing for since April. He did start today. I know some people were probably like, ooh, maybe we should wrap him in some bubble wrap, prepare him for the Premier League season, but he played just over an hour today. Yeah,
and did really well and looked really comfortable. I actually think that you probably saw City's preferred midfield three today with Rodri, Reinders and Bernardo Silva. They looked far more solid. You know, Juventus were limited in transition. You can just see the class of Rodri when he gets on the ball, that quickness of thought, the passes that he plays out wide. Everything just looked a lot smoother for City, and we hadn't really seen that last season. Everyone will know that it was a disastrous season, and things just looked a little bit disjointed. Today, you know, as I say, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because it's still very early, but it did look like the old City a little bit.
I was just going to say, because you look at the goal scorers as well, from Doku to Foden to Erling Haaland as well, just to name a few. It just shows the depth in the squad that we're so used to seeing Manchester City have, but we probably didn't see it as potent last season.
I mean, exactly. And if you're Pep Guardiola and you can turn to your bench and bring on Phil Foden and Erling Haaland, that shows everything about the depth of this squad. They've strengthened well over the summer, brought in Aït-Nouri, Reinders and Ryan Cherki, you know, 3 players that are filling holes in that squad. Aït-Nouri was terrific today at left back. They haven't had an out-and-out left back since about 2021. Reinders, has got legs and movement in midfield. They lacked that last season. There was no real kind of pace and energy in midfield. There was no runners going in behind, and Reinders offers all that. And again, it's still very, very early. It's early even in this tournament, but the signs are there for Pep Guardiola. He'll be so happy with what he saw today.
Yeah, very happy Pep Guardiola, which is something we haven't seen that much after the last Premier League season. Dan, we're going to send it back to you because Rob somehow managed to wear City colours today, and now he has to go change his shirt.
Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. What an asset a 100% fit Rodri is going to be for City.
Absolutely, and Reinders, as Rob mentioned, the new signings. Savinho looked sharp, Doku looked sharp. I agree 100%. The passing was slick, it was fast. We saw a bit of the old pressing that sort of left them last year in their tough times. They obviously have a threat up front, and they have Marmoush. They've got Erling Haaland, who came off the bench today. I thought Diaz played Vlahovic particularly well for the most part. They have got a natural left back in Aït-Nouri. There's a big question mark, I think, when the season starts about his qualities defensively. Very good going forward, but he gets caught out defensively. But he's a good footballer, and that sort of fits into the narrative of how they play. And that was a very, very positive performance. Yeah. And I think, they're one of the sides that we have big questions about. Manchester City, what kind of season are they going to have? Are they going to put last year's debacle, as it turned out to be for the most part, are they going to put that behind them? And are they going to come back stronger and be ready for this fight with Arsenal and Liverpool, the two teams we think they're going to be going head-to-head with? And I think the early signs, and it's only early, it's encouraging. It's encouraging. That being said, as Dawson said, Juventus, whether they were just outplayed and bedazzled with this City side, or whether they just had a bad day at the office, because it was a little easy at times for Man City to play the football they did today. But I will say, when they did play it, it was excellent.
Hey, Nedum, doing Manchester City TV is going to be a lot easier next season on this evidence.
Oh, to be honest, Dan, as the goals are going in today, I thought, thank goodness I'm on the show tonight. I get an easy run of things instead of you just coming at me all the time. It's the worst, it's bad, it's this, it's whatever. But instead, as you say, and as Craig said, they're really good footballers. And when they perform like this, you can see teams suffer. Like Juve today, Yes, they've had an off day, but I think a lot of that's to do with how City played against them. I think some of the individual performances and the collective, the way that they perceive the game, the movement, obviously there are a couple of little errors within it, but that's as good as we've seen City in a very, very long time. And best of all, from their perspective, they have depth as well on the bench. You can see that because of that, there's a real sense of competition for places, it feels like. So those guys, they're going out there, and yes, they want the collective to win, but they're trying to show what they can do. And as it stands, I think the sort of managerial, the assistant managerial change on the side as well, with, say, Pep Linders, Kolo Touré, the set-piece coach, those guys are trying to impress as well. And so the way that City are playing, in some ways it feels familiar, but there's something that also feels a little bit different about it. Maybe it's the higher press, maybe it's the way that they stretch the game at certain points. But the fact is, this is the best we have seen them for a long time. And I'll be honest, coming up against Juve today, with Juve knowing that they needed a draw to finish top, I didn't think City would blow them away in the way that they did. So it's a very big statement, and you'll take a lot of confidence from it.
I thought the depth was a problem.
Well, they're at home. The problem people are at home. That's all right.
Nedum.
They're sad.
I mean, there's too many. I mean, and they're taking Pep Linders from. Where's the loyalty? Pep Linders, all that success at Liverpool, and he goes into management at RB Salzburg, I think it was. It was a disaster. Now he goes to City, so that's a bit of a jump across the rivalry. But yeah, I mean, this is what we've been saying. Strength and depth is good. Now, I get it. There's some sat at home, and you've just got to deal with that. This is big boys football. Big squads, big money, big decisions to be made. So, yeah, those players will have to earn their way in or be sold. But what they do have is pretty good on today's evidence. I really like, obviously, Rodri's like a new signing, but I do like one or two of the new signings, particularly in the middle of the park.
Yeah, Ryan just looked good, didn't he? Let's just confirm then what that means for our bracket, which is really starting to take place now. If you take a look at the left-hand side, I think it's fair to say it is the easiest when you take a look at the quality of the teams that are on the show there. The right-hand side that Juventus find themselves on, you're in a bracket which includes, of course, Bayern Munich and PSG, you would say.
Well, I wouldn't say the right side's pretty easy, is it not?
Why?
Well, PSG are big favourites to beat Inter Miami.
Yes, no, but I mean the right side is definitely the hardest of the two. So Juventus have found themselves now on a difficult side of the bracket. Manchester City, meanwhile, you look at those teams that are on the left-hand side.
Look at Borussia Dortmund or Monterrey.
But overall, would you prefer to be on the left-hand side of the bracket or the right-hand side?
I prefer to be sat at home.
Oh my God, so do I. I don't even know how that's complicated. Manchester City then sit, and I think...
Well, there's better teams in the left-hand side.
There aren't better teams. What teams?
Oh.
What teams are better in the left-hand side?
You think the left-hand side of the bracket is weaker than the right-hand side?
Definitely.
Into Miami, Monterrey. Borussia Dortmund.
Stop saying Borussia Dortmund.
What a crap.
Look, PSG are going to play Bayern Munich, aren't they, in theory?
No.
So one of those teams...
You watched Flamengo. Did you not watch, was it Flamengo against Chelsea?
Well, yes, but Chelsea are terrible as well.
Wow. Why don't we just do 20 minutes on this bracket?
I don't know. Pep Linders, the bracket, you bring it all up.
I don't really think it makes... At the end of the day, you still got to go out and play.
Yes, I don't want to go into much detail with you about it. Rob, Alexis, taking a look at this Manchester City, despite Craig's complaints, will be happier they're on that side. And I think if you're putting money on a team to win this tournament, Manchester City's where it's at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because we know that Real Madrid is potentially lurking there, and Real Madrid is a team that has had Manchester City's number if we're going to go off of recent Champions League as well. So I think they'll be pretty happy to avoid that.
Yeah, and I think City actually will agree with Dan, because they were well aware of what half of the draw they wanted to be in before the game kicked off today. They went out to win the game. You could see it in the way that they started the game. They were desperate to win, desperate to be in that side of the draw. And I think it's been quite unpredictable so far. I don't think anyone really has laid down a massive marker until today. I think other teams will be looking at City today against Juventus, the style of the performance, the result, and thinking they are probably the team to beat in this now.
Yeah, 13 goals that they've scored, only 2 conceded. That's pretty impressive so far. So is Manchester City your favourite now, or would you give Real Madrid a little bit of a shout too?
I think in terms of the draw and the performance today, I think you can't really look past Man City, but Real Madrid are Real Madrid. And in these competitions, when the title of world champions on the line, they come through these games, don't they? So I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, Dan, there you have it.
No, they don't. They're rubbish at the moment, Real Madrid. We saw them all last season, Rob. Why all of a sudden they put their feet on American soil and they're better than, I don't know, PSG, who have been the best team by miles in the Champions League.
And he's already, Xabi Alonso, talking about the same problems that we saw all last year, every weekend, which is work rate.
Yes.
He's talking about work rate. He's talking about we need to defend from the front. We need the guys. I know Mbappe's not been around, but we need, when available and when the season starts, the Mbappes and the Vinicius and the Jude Bellinghams. He's touched on it. We need them to start off the work rate from the front, and so there is no suggestion thus far, and it is very, very early. I mean, Xabi Alonso, he's only just got his slippers on at Real Madrid. There's a lot.
Why is he wearing slippers?
There's a lot of work to be done.
Where's he wearing?
Just shut up. There's a lot of work to be done at this club, and I don't think at this moment in time, particularly the way they look defensively as well.
Yeah.
I really don't think that they are going to be a massive threat in this competition.
As Rob mentioned, Real Madrid take on Salzburg tonight. If they win that game, they will take on Juventus in the knockout stages. In theory, going to the much harder side of the bracket, Nedum.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, if Real Madrid was written on that right side, it probably would look a bit more impressive. But when it's just like Group H winners, like, well, who is that? But yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, Dan. Don't
just
let
use
Craig
your
bring
brain.
you down. Enjoy football. Enjoy your football, Dan. Enjoy your football. Don't let Craig bring you down.
No,
just
but
smile.
let's get through
this. Come on.
Nedum, I feel dirty today.
What? Because we're talking about it seriously.
No, I'm freaking talking.
No, but that's fine. Don't start.
Don't
start. I don't need it. We don't need it. We've done lovely. Alexis will say thank you very much. Rob, stay with us because we're going to talk about transfers a little bit later on.